This is the Healey Brothers Show.
All right, so this episode is about introducing and talking about two of our sales managers here at Kia, their growth within the company. So we have Jason Healey, obviously, myself, and then we have Austen Speirs and CJ, was it Craig Lewis, right? I want to make sure I got that right, so CJ. So we'll just start off by you guys first introducing yourself. You can go one at a time, and then while you introduce yourself, just kind of talk about like where you started and how you got to
Austen,
where you are.
you go first because you've been here a long time. Obviously, my best friend, and let's start with that.
I never thought I'd make it to the table. So I'm glad we're here together. Austen Speirs, basically. My first job at Healey was, I think it was unpaid, probably, cleaning cars and moving the lot. Cash for clunkers, I think, was definitely not paid. We were blowing up the cars in the back of the dealership. Basically 17, 18 years old. From that, started summers in college, doing pictures. Me and Jay doing pictures, and
very productive team.
we were the original Healey media team before this. We had, remember the accent?
Oh, we do have an accent. Hyundai accent, that was a great car.
The Hyundai accent that we drove around. So did pictures through college, all 4 years of college, and then after that, I started service valet at Ford in Goshen a week after I graduated. So I took 1 week off and got right into the business again. Did that for about a year and a half, with service valet for Ford.
And then some other service duties as well.
Yeah, some other service stuff. By the time I left Ford, I was, basically almost writing ROs and repair orders, and I thought fixed ops was something I wanted to get into. Then I went to the BDC, worked with Brad for about another year and a half, setting up the service side of the BDC, setting
because we were only sales at one point, so service came on and he helped put that together.
All the op codes and everything like that, Service Edge. Worked with your dad a lot too before that. From there, from the BDC, then went to PK Ford. Sat at the front desk.
PK Chevy. PK Chevy. I was like, we didn't have Ford.
PK Chevy. Sat at the front desk there for like a year. Did service equity mining. Answered phone calls and everything like that. Pulled customers from service, and then finally I was like, I don't want to do fixed ops anymore, and I want to get into the sales game. Did that for, like I said, about a year. And then started selling cars, I think was 20...
So you're 50 years old now, right?
Yeah, in car years, yes, car years. From that, then started selling cars, sold cars for about 3 years, 3.5, almost 4 years. At Chevy, loved it, everything like that. Did website design at Chevy, helped build out a lot. Selling cars too, was customer experience manager, worked with your father with the service side of that still, while selling. And was always in the sales manager's office with Andy and Kenny, everything like that. Asking them how to work deals and talking to Kevin and basically how does the banking side of it work, everything like that. Then James Barrett called me one day, said I have a position open here at Healey Kia. It's yours if you want it, sales manager. That was in July. I started here July 5th of 2021 during COVID. And now GSM over here, and been in July will be 3 years here. So about 10 years almost 12 years in the business from start to finish.
So he's now 65 years old, about to retire. Yeah. That just goes to show you. At Healey's, the best part is you don't have to be at one dealership. There's opportunity all around, and you're able to move to the best opportunity that fit you, your needs. Obviously, you have a growing family now too, so moving up in.
I have a son now, so married with a son, bought a house. So.
A house, a lot more.
Doing all the real adult things, I guess.
Yeah, now you probably don't have sleep though.
It's hit or miss. He's 16 days old now, so.
Yeah, he's fresh. So the best part there is you moved where it was necessary. You had the training along the way. You learned both sides of the business, and now the only way is up from here. So I forgot all those other jobs.
Yeah.
I forgot the cash for clunkers in high school when we were doing that.
You've almost had more jobs than Jay.
We clean cars too.
Yeah, we did.
I definitely was
with Milton.
I was in prep with Milton too. So
All right. Well, now that we know your story, let's just hear CJ's and then we'll move on.
Yeah, nowhere near as long of a resume by far. I don't have a family or kids, which is cool too. No, I worked at Carvel all throughout high school. I was there for 6-7 years. I ran the place. I was originally going to buy Carvel, like just that particular store, not the whole franchise, obviously. But yeah, no, something happened with the property management, and one night Jay was like, hey, maybe you should start selling cars. You know, your personality fits talking to people pretty well. I never thought that, you know, car business would be a thing, although I grew up with, you know, the whole family in Austin. I've been close as well forever. But never did I think I was going to get into the car business. It was kind of a, okay, on the fly kind of thing. But obviously never looked back. It was the best move I ever made by far.
Yeah, I mean, the question you asked me too was, hey, where do you think a good location, like, can you reach out? I was like, to be honest, I'd start with Kia. We take a lot of people that come outside the auto industry, and they have great trainers. James was here, Brian Balukas.
Yeah.
So it was, were you here yet?
No, Austin wasn't here.
When CJ started, no.
What year did you start as a salesman?
Yeah, so it was interesting for me to start too, because I started in February of 2020. So, and the way our training process works is obviously you have to learn every bit of the car, the process, before you even have a chance to be on the floor.
It wasn't a car for you to learn on.
Yeah, so, but I'm training for, you know, a few weeks to a month, and then all of a sudden we get a call that we might be closing the doors because of COVID. So I trained and never had a chance to actually sell a car before we took a little break for COVID. So that was interesting. And then I think we came back in May or June, if I'm not mistaken. Sold cars for someone to Austin, like 3-4 years. Did okay, so.
I would say you did better than okay.
For sure, yeah. I mean, and the biggest thing Austin said too was him spending time in the sales manager's office. Like, in this job especially, I think it's most important to never stop being a student. Like, even if you're doing the best you possibly can, you can still learn more. Regardless of who you're around, like you said, James, Brian, Mark, Jay, Austin, you know, you learn and take pieces from each person, and that kind of just helps you better yourself and your game. And, you know, it's a great company.
I mean, pumping our tires now.
Constantly learning is a good way to put it, you know. I think everyone, constantly learning is a good way to put it. Everyone needs to focus on that. I focus on that. I know Jay does. He sends us stuff all the time. So, you know, it's
whether they read it or not, but I hope they read it.
I hope everyone reads it, yeah. So, I mean, that's cool to hear your guys' backstory. Obviously, Austin definitely
yeah, nowhere near as
more
much that Austin did.
more of a journey than you did. Austin was here since I was 12.
I've also known Austin since I was 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah, freshman.
So, I mean, we even went to college together. We just did everything together. Yeah. I mean, that degree of sports management, right?
Well,
that's very.
Yeah, I mean that is what my degree is in, but I think, you know, hospitality side of it definitely helped in the, you know, person business that we're in, basically, you know, speaking with people, learning how to talk and everything like that. And
Understanding.
It's very hospitality driven. That's the school we went to. So I think, you know, necessarily I'm not in that field necessarily, but, you know, definitely picked up some good.
You still took something from it that you bring into
Yeah,
your job.
yeah. And I have an expensive piece of paper and everything like that, but it is, you know.
It's a nice piece of paper. We had a good time at Johnson Wales.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Didn't learn how to cook though. That's one thing we didn't do.
My wife knows how to cook though.
Yeah, Kaylin's good.
So explain something, more so you, because CJ was really just sales and then into the manager's position. So kind of explain what you kind of learned at each of those job roles that you were in within Healey, and what they kind of taught you to help you where you are today and what you do on a daily basis. Because obviously I know you talked about like learning with Kevin, the bank side of things, so on and so forth. But kind of start from the beginning and go forward of like, what did you take, even if it's just one thing from each individual position and how it helps you today?
Well, I mean, service valet obviously is you're the first point of contact when someone's pulling up to their service appointment. So, you know, you always just had to have a smile on your face, everything like that, even if you were having a bad day. I mean, I started, I think, 6:30 in the morning, sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning. So had to be up, everything like that, put a smile on my face. And that was just, you know, first point of contact, you know, greet them the right way and everything like that. Obviously, they're here for service. You know, it's a little bit different interaction compared to a sales experience now. So that's one thing I took away from that. BDC side, obviously, you know, just having a kind of a calm, cool demeanor on the phone, everything like that. Sometimes you get people yelling, not in the situation, everything like that. Just trying to, back them down and everything like that, and just listen to them.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, people they're on the other side of the phone, so it's a little easier to yell at. Like, if when I'm in there, you hear it through the phone when you walk in there. So that's like an important skill that some people at our store don't really understand of how bad those, sometimes majority of girls there get blasted all day. So that's like such an important skill.
One thing about the phone is just listen, hear their side of the story, especially if you're dealing with a, irate customer or something like that first. Just listen, and that's what I do on the phone, and then I'll, operate from there. Sales side, like I said, I was always just in the sales office, how do you work the deal? How do you put the number on the car? Using the systems. We had CDK lot management at that time. We weren't even a V-Auto dealer at the time. So that system was a little bit, antiquated, And then just speaking with Kevin, basically, how do you get these deal approved? He taught me how to book a deal, bank a deal, everything like that. And by the time, I was banking the deals for him, my own deals, and giving them to him.
Yeah, working with the lender is huge too, because you understand the lender, you make those relationships, because that's how you get stuff approved. It's just not like you send the paper and they're like, oh yeah, approval. There's a lot more that goes into it. So
Kevin's on the phone with GM Financial every 2 seconds.
Sometimes you have to be like on the customer side. Right?
Yeah.
You have to paint a picture of why the customer deserves the vehicle.
Yeah, every customer has a different story too.
The information.
They just don't look at a credit score. There's usually a story behind it of why that person deserves a car and how we can put them into the car.
And also, we're trying to get them the best deal, the best rates. Like, it's not just like whatever rate they say is we're going to give them. It doesn't work for everyone, so.
Yeah, that's a perfect topic too. My bridge between being on the floor to being on the desk was special finance, was like credit acceptance. That especially teaches you a different side of like the rebuilding process. Like how Austen said, there's a story. There always is, right? Everything is situationally, and doing special finance especially kind of helped me learn a little bit more to maybe problem solving on the desk, right? Like, okay, like maybe this doesn't look the best, but you can paint the story of why this makes sense. You know what I mean? Both to the customer and to the bank.
So now when were you able to learn the special finance side of things?
So for special finance especially, it's a little bit more.
Well, no, I mean like when? Like when were you able to learn that? Like did you do what Austen did and you went and like sat in like the sales managers' offices and kind of talked with them or finance managers?
Yeah, so before I did it, Jason did it, our finance manager now, and I kind of spent a lot of time with him figuring out exactly how the credit acceptance program works, which it's basically a guaranteed credit approval program. Like Mark and Brian had their podcast on here, and I think what they said was perfect. Yeah. Like all the points they made about, it's not just the score, right? It's the history of how
you watched it. I'm proud.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah. No, that was one of my favorite ones by far.
We saw the clips.
Yeah. The clips, Nicky. The clips are what's important.
Yeah. No, but for sure. That's kind of why I fell in love with this job so much, is there's so much more than just someone walking in, asking for a car, and then saying, okay, here's your payment, and putting a red bow on it and taking a picture. There's so many more intricate details that go into every single deal. That's kind of why I fell in love with it.
And then like the customer, sometimes they understand there's complexity, but our job is to make it less complex. Even though there's so much that goes into a car deal, there's so many little things that some of the consumers are like, oh, like why does it take so long? I was like, first off, we had it approved by the bank. Then there's all this paperwork for New York State, all the paperwork for us, the legal documents.
Not just sending it into one bank.
Oh, no, it depends. It depends
on the person.
It depends on the person. Depends on
a couple different levels.
Depends on whether it's new, used, all that stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of work that goes into it. And obviously, sitting with especially the guaranteed approval is huge, because it's tough. Yeah. It's tough, and you're going to bat for that customer every single day. So
let me talk about how like Healey is fortunate to be able to offer that. Right, because I've learned this throughout the podcast, honestly, on how exactly the guaranteed approval works. Where you put it into a system, it spits out what cars are actually going to work for them. Yeah. So it's like you have to pick from, let's say, these 5 cars out of our 400. So Healey's fortunate to have that large inventory to be able to offer more from that, because that's what I learned throughout this, that it's not just like they can kind of pick a car.
It's not a vending machine.
They can't pick a car.
That's a good clip. That's a good clip. It's not a vending machine.
It's a good analogy for like it has to pick a car for them that will work.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're helping them rebuild their credit. So we're helping them get in the car. They're helping them get to work. We're helping them like sort of some people go through tough times in their life. It's not all their fault, so it's a good program for that.
Like
so.
just how you said too, it's not everyone's fault, right? Like life happens. Like that was one of my favorite things I've always heard from like being in special finances. Like you're working both with the bank and with the customer, but you know. I was going to say shit happens.
Yeah, we can talk about that. It's fine. We've gotten a little more vulgar as we've gone on. So.
Yeah. So realistically, though, like there's always a route you can take, right? And yeah, they may not go for exactly what they want when they walk into the dealership, but like we have those advantages to where we have 9 stores, right? Where we can pull inventory from any of the stores. You know, it's not just what we have here on our lot. It's, hey, maybe, you know, something else at a different store will work, which may be more beneficial for the situation.
Yeah, so I mean, that's huge. So I just want to turn the tides here a little bit. And the importance of training, how we do training, since you guys are both very on it, and the store is probably the center of where our training philosophy really started. So you just want to touch on that, the importance, how we do it, how you see your employees do it, and what you've learned along the way in training.
For sure. I mean, the training is, I think, the most important thing that separates Healey from the rest of car dealerships. The reason why the majority of car dealerships have, you know, a different set of salespeople every time you walk in there is because Healey invests in their employees, which I think is one of the biggest things that benefits everybody in just the long-term growth within themselves and within the company. You know what I mean? Like if someone's been here for, let's say, a few years as opposed to a few months, you know, the customer can come back in there and say, hey, I remember this person, right? It's repeat referral business. Like that's the name of the game in the car business. And having salespeople for, you know, 5, 6, 7 years that are the same dealership, and customers know they walk in for service or they're coming back to buy another car, they can send their family there. It's something that, you know, genuinely helps out not just the salesperson but just the entirety of the brand itself.
Yeah, I mean, I would say CJ had a little bit of an advantage because he started as a salesperson with the training, psychology and everything like that. I did not. So I jumped into it. My first day I started here, John Dawson was actually here doing the class.
Oh, that must have been a hammer, huh?
Yeah, and he asked me questions. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. You know, I'm just going to sit here.
And for now, we've actually put this program and software in every single store. Based on every store has a slightly different training, but this store is just a different animal training when it really comes to this. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, as like I said, that's fine. So as far as manager training, you know, there was none. So, but as far as, like I said, CJ definitely had an advantage of going through it first. I'm going through it, and this is now my second time going through psychology and everything like that. I'm still picking up stuff. But it's just basically knowing the stuff and just knowing how to use it in the right situation. So
understanding the customer.
Yeah, you know, we have not daily meetings, we have 2 meetings a week and a Saturday meeting, and we just, you know, we're going through different bullet points and everything like that. The thanks technique is something that we just worked on for almost a month. So, you know, that it's not necessarily a script or anything like that, but knowing, you know, how to use that verbiage in the right situation, and that's why we were on that for so long. So, something to think.
And the team has to move together. You have to understand it together and move on. So, that's huge. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. In a million years, I didn't think you'd be doing like handling training work. I knew you could do it, but now like you do it one-on-one, and I don't think your team would survive without it. Like, they understand it. It keeps them disciplined, structured. You guys are both know the training, understand customers better than pretty much anyone in our organization, if not top 10. So it's, I mean, I started really falling in love with it more. I even started taking the classes. So.
Yeah, psychology especially, I mean, there's so much to it, right? It's such a long curriculum of every part of the process, from everything from saying hello to the customer to what happens when it comes down to, and we're actually talking about monthly payments, right? There's just so many different parts of it, and it's so much good knowledge. Like, you may not like one thing, but, you know, another thing that you'll use in your repertoire every single day. Psychology especially is probably the best training that I've seen, like at least in this part of the business.
So now psychology was here when you started at Kia?
It's been here for a long time.
So now, if you can just explain the difference, because like Austen said, like how he kind of just got thrown into it, right? With no training at first. It wasn't it different when you started? Like, didn't you have to go through training before you even dealt with customers?
Correct. Right? Yeah.
Right?
Well, they were starting
so
two different positions here, though, too. So.
No, definitely. Well, no, I mean, like even when he was at Chevy, like didn't you just sell cars right away? There was no like training prior. It was
basically, you know,
first day you were at the
first day I was, like I said, I was sitting at the desk and everything, listening to the other salespeople and everything like that. As far as, like CJ said, curriculum, everything like that, there's no set stone there. So one day, like I said, I just started on the desk and was kind of like, okay, or on my desk, and started taking ups and talking to people and trying to sell them the cars, and just kind of made my own way path through that. So definitely, if something was more set in stone or everything like that, probably would have been a little bit easier of a process.
Okay, so now the reason why I wanted to bring that up is kind of so it's understand for people that are interested in it, if you have no past experience in any type of customer service or especially sales or anything like that, obviously you were in customer service working at Carvel, but you had the opportunity to at least train and be taught something before just being thrown into having to take ups with customers and stuff like that.
For sure.
So if you kind of want to, I don't know if you want to say go through that process of what happened when you first started, because obviously you didn't start dealing with customers right away.
Yeah. So how it starts is, of course, you have to learn the product, right? Before you can do anything with a customer, you have to know what you're talking about, right? And still there'll be times where customers will do, especially with online shopping now, most customers walk in and know just everything about the car just as well as you do, right? So that's where step one comes, is just knowing every car, knowing every trim level, knowing, if a customer needs a sunroof, how do they get there? The least expensive option to get exactly what they need. That was one of the things that I think James said, which I loved, is just our goal is to find the least expensive way to get you exactly what you need. We don't want someone overpaying because they think they need more, when in reality there's a much lesser option to get exactly what they need. So the training process starts, you learn every vehicle from top to bottom. Then you kind of get an idea of how the process works. We have a little bit of a different process here where every time you say hi to somebody at the door, we introduce them to the managers, right? That gets us involved early, so we're not
Stranger.
Customer peace of mind that the manager's there for you.
Strangers.
Yeah, we're not some ghost behind a curtain that's typing in numbers to a computer. It's a face-to-face conversation to where okay, you're going to be sitting with this person to show you the car, but if we get to the numbers portion, I can help out with the rest. I think that's a really, really strong thing too, because so many times it's I imagine other dealerships, customers walk in and they're like, oh, well, whatever the manager says, right?
Some managers don't even know they're there.
Yeah,
it's scary.
Exactly. So, and
there's also a couple things that we try to hit on right when meeting the customer. Are we lucky enough to be your first stop? Are you doing a little looking and shopping today? With those two questions, you can get a lot of information, and the customer doesn't even think that you're really asking them a question. If we find out that, are they looking for product information or pricing information, you kind of know what step they are in the process, right? So are we just here looking at a car, or we already kind of checked it out online and maybe ran some numbers on the calculator and we have a set payment goal. So we can kind of operate from there. The second question, which is my favorite, is, are we lucky enough to be your first stop? Because one, that's going to let us know, yes, they've actively been shopping in the market, or two, how did you get to Kia? Why did you pick us as your first stop? So I think those two questions are very powerful, and the customer doesn't really know that, we're trying to, absorb a lot of information from them right away at that time. And those two questions, I love to operate from that.
I mean, that's also, that all goes back to our training. It's every time it's understanding the customer, letting them know, and then you're getting a lot of information back so you could really help them. I mean, you're not going to waste we're not here to waste anyone's time. We're here to help you. I mean, to circle back, if we had people from outside the organization looking to work in the auto industry, what would you say to them? And if they're all worried about I've never worked in auto before, I've never worked in sales, what would you say to them? And what would you give them peace of mind to jump in and work here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's extremely encouraging. I try to have I can't pitch enough how much this company especially not just helps you, but also helps mold you into figuring out exactly the right direction to go. It's not hey, listen, you're just gonna start on the floor, try to figure it out kind of thing. You know what I mean? We really, really train every single person to where we can help figure out. Because that's we said time and time again, it's not just selling somebody a car, it's problem solving, right?
It's making a customer for life.
Exactly.
And I don't want to sell you one car, I want to sell you your next car and your family car and everybody else a car.
That's why it's in our mission statement, customer for life.
Yeah.
How long was the process before you were actually then dealing with customers?
So when I started, it was about a month and a half.
Think about that peace of mind for someone outside that doesn't know anything about cars. Don't worry about it. You're going to learn it.
Exactly.
And you're going to take your time. You still get paid as well, going through the process. It's not just hey, you have to train for a month.
You're an intern.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, especially that too. It's throughout that process, you're still like, you're not training in some room, right? Like you're training at your desk that you're eventually going to be sitting there with a customer, and you're getting to listen to the other salespeople talking to their customers, the desk over or somewhere else on the floor.
Yeah,
So
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's kind of like what we do with technicians, like kind of that thing.
Oh yeah,
sorry,
100%.
keep going.
Yeah.
No, it's like more so like, so I guess we refer to it as shadowing, right? Like the last stage before you start selling cars is, someone who's already been selling cars will sit across the desk from a customer, and the trainee will sit behind them and just kind of watch the process from start to finish, like entering their information into the system and then appraising their trade and all the different steps it actually takes to, the steps to sale kind of thing. So it's not just,
Throw you to the wolves.
Exactly, yeah.
You were going to say something about how long it is for new hires now.
Well, I mean,
is it still like that month and a half, or?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It varies. And we also have to figure out of how comfortable the person is at that time. They might be doing a Forte walk around for 4 weeks until they, hammer it and get it down solid. Because once they get that one Forte walk around down, then the other product knowledge comes in after that. If you can nail the Forte walk around, you can nail any car. But that is the main focus there. Is, memorizing that and everything like that first. Okay. But it's really until that person feels comfortable, enough to actually take it up and talk to a customer and do the process.
We practiced until you can't get it wrong. We don't just practice until we get it right once. So that's the whole point of beside training. They have to be perfect. You don't want to ever get it wrong. You have to be, we're the professionals here. We have to show that we are the professionals. So that's a big part of what we do. And also, it's easier on the customer. If you're a professional, the customer trusts you more. You can help them more. You're not always like, oh my God, I need to talk to my manager. Oh my God, I don't know. Yeah. That's unprofessional. We need to be experts in our field.
We have something called the higher authority.
So if you had to give, say a fellow employee wants to move up and wants to really start a career, because we hire for people to start careers. And I tell everyone when I hire, my dad hires, we want you here for life. We want you to bleed Healey. We want you to love Healey and also love treating our customers and grow with the company. What advice would you give to a fellow employee just starting and they want to move up? So one of you guys, CJ.
Yes, I'll start. One thing I did even from the beginning was like pay attention to every single part of the process. Like when you're giving the deal to somebody to submit it, like just pay attention to what they're doing, pay attention to what they say to you. Just be a sponge. There's so many people, especially regardless of where you start, right? There's so many managers that have been in the business for so long and have so much experience. They have nothing but good advice to give you. Like, don't ever think that you know it all. Don't ever think that you can't learn more or you can't progress. And that goes for all facets of life, is you can always better yourself. And working under such talented people, like we mentioned before, it just allows you to learn more and kind of better yourself into a situation that, gives you the potential to move up in the company. And that's obviously the main goal.
That was phenomenal. Well done. Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
I would just say, thinking of it as a real career. No matter what position you do, if it's prep, technician, sales, anything like that, what CJ said, thinking of a sponge and everything like that, but thinking of it as a real career that, I do want to move up and everything like that, and just being a real student of it, right? So, being in the manager's offices and asking them questions, and don't be afraid to ask a question, and don't be afraid to be wrong. That's why you have managers, is to be wrong, and then they can answer the question. As far as moving up and everything like that, I mean, this is definitely the place to do it, You can literally start from the bottom and go up.
Right there.
Start from the bottom and go up. I think it's the reflection of yourself. The more work you put into this business, especially in the sales side, you are literally your own boss. We give you the tools to be your own boss. No, but seriously, I mean, you literally being a salesperson is you have we give you everything, and you can sell 50 referrals from that and just build your own business up. So if you take it seriously and honestly think of it as a career, I mean, the sky's the limit. You necessarily don't have to move up being a salesperson, but you could, there's people that sell 50, 100 cars, that's their own business. They run their own business that way. And if if you can put the work in and everything like that to run your own business, especially on the sales side, then that is your career, and that's basically you moving up without going into a sales manager's position or a GM or something like that. But
yeah, I mean,
so, if you sell 100 cars a month, which you can make more than anybody in the dealership.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the advice I would also add to that is don't be scared to change your environment.
Yeah.
Austen, you did it, what, 4 times?
Yeah,
So
when I
you
started, I never
there's-
wanted to get in the sales side.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be in the fixed operations side, and I obviously.
You liked getting yelled at, that's why.
yeah, apparently I like to take it on the chin. Yeah. But like I said, I never really wanted to go on the sales side. Definitely was fixed operations. I'm glad I did and everything like that. But
You're well-rounded. Now you know both sides. You know how to work with the service department.
Yeah.
You know what they're doing if you're trying to get the used cars all fixed and all that stuff. So you know that. So I would say that's a big one. Don't be afraid to change your environment within Healey, whether it's going from service to sales to a different dealership. There's always opportunity. You hit the one. Don't ever stop learning. I think that's another big one too.
What the both of you guys said too was the sky's the limit. Like, especially being a salesperson, like, Austen said it, like, you are your own boss, right? You aren't capped by how much you can make based off of anything. Like, that's one thing that I always felt when I was at Carvel. I was like, yeah, I'm working so hard, and
I'm
I worked
still only
95 hours this
an
week.
hour.
exactly. It's
I
like
scooped 100 things of ice cream here, and
the harder you work in this business, the more you will earn.
You don't get paid per scoop.
no,
Nah, exactly.
Apparently
That's the
not.
thing.
And that's on both sides in service and sales. Advisors,
Yeah.
not cop.
And technicians, it's the hours you put in. It's the hours that you can make.
Yeah.
Service advisor, it's the hours you can sell. Sales, it's the cars you can sell. And
And keeping the customers coming back. You have to have that referral business.
Yeah.
And the more customers that you can bring to your book, the longer. I mean, people like, whether we say it or not, the relationship business is the car business. Like, people want to do business with people they know. Exactly. I mean, that's like psychology 101.
Yeah. I like what Austen said. I said, don't be afraid to be wrong. People I hate are just yes men. Like, don't tell me yes and you don't know. That's gonna piss me off. Because now you made it.
You hear me call it out.
You say yes, you win, made a mistake, and it's like, why did you say yes? So I like what he said about don't be afraid to be wrong, because you can just listen. Of course. Or if you're wrong, it's like, so there's managers to
You
ask.
see me and him battle when we're wrong, right? But it's we admit that we're wrong, we move on.
Yeah, just don't be yes
And
men.
questioning things too, like, if you're in, whether it be the sales office or the finance office, ask why. Like, if we give you advice to do something or to say something or to go a certain direction, ask why. Figure out what the actual meaning behind what our game plan is, which will only help you. Like, hey, listen, next time you're around and in a similar situation, you have an idea of which route to take that may better benefit not just yourself but also the customer.
So, guys, one final question: what makes Healey different?
Then Carvel.
No, seriously, what makes Healey different from other auto dealers? What do we do different? Kind of just summarize it real quick. It could be anything. It could be our people. It could be literally anything. Just spitball.
Yeah, I mean, it's the environment. We could say it over like time and time again, but it really is the environment. It's everyone working together to help for a better goal, right? Like, it's not.
So the culture.
Exactly. It's always the culture, right? It's everyone is just so trying to help benefit each other. It's, salespeople help other salespeople. It's not necessarily just a competitive, dog eat dog world where it's like, oh, I want to make more than you. I want to do better than you. It's like, hey, listen, this worked for me. Maybe it can work for you too.
I mean, it's always to help the customer too. You guys are helping each other out all the time, helping with deliveries, helping keep customers get customers water. Even the smallest things, it comes down to the customer and the culture. So that's a good one.
Yeah, that's something you'll notice too. Like, if you read,
I appreciate that, CJ. The culture, it's good.
If you read like the Facebook reviews, the Google reviews, like a customer will say, hey, listen, I sat with and bought a car from so and so, but everybody at the dealership was so helpful. Like, everybody there was so welcoming, and that's the difference. Like, there's customers that walk into other dealerships and they won't even get greeted. Here, it's even if you're sitting with somebody else and like you said, you need a water bottle or you need to find the bathroom, everyone's willing to help.
All right, Mr. Spears.
I mean, I'm a little biased, honestly. I've never worked at another dealership, so I can't really, say, or another company. So, I mean, I would just like what CJ harped on. I mean, culture, environment, facilities, training, soup to nuts. Healey's going to do it. Healey's going to invest in you. They're going to invest into what, making you the best version of yourself you can be. What I like about the auto industry and what at Healey is every day is a new day. So even if you have a bad day, wipe it off, take it on the chin, everything like that. And new day is something that, the next day is something better, right? Or, you could sell 5 cars, 3 cars, sell this, that, everything like that. Every day is a new day in the auto industry. Every month's a new month, in the auto industry. I love, starting from zero and starting from scratch again.
It's not quarterly here.
It's a driver, I really think that, every day you can be yourself and drive it and drive your own traffic and everything like that and just be the best version of yourself. And then Healey makes you do that. So.
No worries, I'm biased as well. I've never worked anywhere else.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I worked at C. Oh, you worked at C&M Auto Body for a little bit.
I did work at C&M Auto Body.
It's one of our friends' business. It's one of our friends' business.
I worked at Arco Golf Course
yeah,
in 16.
yeah, just to get some free golf.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
But hey, guys, thank you. I mean, that was an awesome episode. I think people are really gonna understand what you guys, and it is possible to move up in the auto industry. People think it's just stale. It's a job to go somewhere else, and I'm just sick of that. You could have a great career here.
Yeah.
I think Healey, obviously, I'm biased. I love it. I think it's the best company to work for in the Hudson Valley.
You shouldn't
But
be
you guys are proving
ashamed
people
to be a used car salesman.
Oh my
or a
God, I
new
hate
car
that.
Salesman,
I
you
hate
know?
that.
It's like
It's
I
such a
said,
cliche.
If you put in the work and you make a career out of it, you can make it to the top. You know, Mount Rushmore.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, and follow us at Healey Brothers on all social platforms.